Here's another word problem for you. Tom dove 180 feet below the surface of the ocean. He then rose 65 feet. What is Tom's depth now? Draw if you have to. Okay, so please take a minute to figure this out. So let's say this is the surface of the ocean. He went down for 180 feet. And then he rose 65 feet. What is his depth now? Okay, so in order to figure this out, we want to be able to say that going down is negative and then coming back up is positive. Okay, so to find his current depth, we're going to add them up. Okay, so negative 180 going down, and then coming back up is positive 65. Okay, and whatever you get there is going to be the answer. Okay, so probably the easiest way to do this is to put it into the calculator. Negative 180 plus 65. Okay, in which you're going to get a certain number. Okay, now if you don't have a calculator, I'm going to take 180 minus 65, and then what I'm going to get is, well, let's see, borrow 1 from the 8 becomes a 7, and then I have 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 6 is 1, and then bring down the 1. So 115. Now, I'm still underneath the surface of the water, so I'm going to say that this isn't going to be a positive 115, it's going to be a negative 115. Okay, so the question asks, what is Tom's depth now? He's at negative 115 feet below the surface of the water. Okay, a little tricky, a little something different. Now I would like to move on from word problems and let's attack our order of operations. Okay, so the first question for you would be, what are the order of operations of operations? Meaning, what are you going to do first when you're faced with parentheses, multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, all that good stuff? Okay, so you would do the parentheses first. The saying goes, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? So please is parentheses, excuse would be exponent. My dear is multiply and divide. Aunt Sally is adding and subtracting. Okay, so those are your order of operations. You would focus on the parentheses first, followed by exponent, and then followed by multiplication, division, and then last you would do your adding and subtracting. Okay, so best to look at some examples here. You can say that this is the fun part of the numbers and operations here. Okay, so if you're asked to simplify, seven plus 3 to the second power times 4 minus 5 equals what? Okay. Based on your order of operations, you would check parentheses first. Since there's none, we would go on to exponents. So for this problem, we would do the exponent first. Write it down if you have to. Okay. Until you become familiar with this method. Check to see if there are multiplication and division. There is. So I'm going to multiply next. And then third, I would check to see if there's adding and subtracting. So add and then subtract. Okay, so I would add and then I would subtract. Okay, so let's do this. Do the exponent first. Three to the second power is 3 times 3. You get 9. And then everything else stays the same. Okay. Second step would be to multiply. 9 times 4. Okay, so 7 plus 9 times 4 is 36. Minus 5. Okay, I'm going to add 7 plus 36. 43 minus 5. Okay, and then you can take it home now. 43 minus 5, you would get 38. We are right on. Okay. So let's look at another example. Let's throw in parentheses too for this one. Okay, so we've got 3 to the third power plus 6 plus 4 to the second power divided by 2. Okay, take a minute and let that sink in. Check for parentheses. There is, so let's do that first. Okay. Check for multiplication and division. No, you know what? I skipped a step there. Check for exponents. You've got 2 of them. So do the exponents. Check for multiplication and division. There is. And then check for adding and subtracting. There is, so add. Okay. So let's attack the parentheses, okay? 6 plus 4. You get 10. Everything else stays the same. So 3 to the third power plus 10 squared divided by 2. Okay, let's do exponents next. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. Get 27. 10 to the second power is 10 times 10. You get 100. Bring down the plus sign. Everything else stays the same. Okay. Next, let's divide. 100 divided by 2. I get 50. Okay. So you have 27 plus 50. Last we add. Add them up. I get 77. What did you get? Okay, check your answer. Okay. Before we leave off, wanted to ask you, what are prime numbers? Okay, so let's Google it. What are prime numbers. Okay. By definition, these are numbers greater than 1 that are actually that can only be divided by one and itself.